Following the adoption of its policy of market reform and opening to the world market in 1978, China experienced rapid economic growth from 1978 to 2007. Moreover, China's growth trajectory shifted from one based primarily on rapidly growing consumption to one driven by exports and investments, a shift that did not take place gradually or evenly. In the late 1970s, the Chinese leadership of Deng Xiaoping shifted from Maoist planned economics to market-orientated reforms, which began in the agricultural sector. During that period, Deng also made changes in China's financial system by changing the loan quotas of banks. This caused an increase in the money supply, and consumer price inflation rose to its highest level in 1985. Due to the rapid pace of change, by the late 1980s, grievances over inflation, limited career prospects for students, and corruption of the party elite were growing rapidly. This triggered the Tiananmen Square protests of 1989. Today, China's very large export surplus is starting to represent a serious problem. The problem of high export dependence is that in a serious global recession, the economy faces the risk of losing its foothold in developing economies.
We no longer export as much as we used to countries such as Europe and Africa. Since the economy started to slow down, we have received a decreased number of orders.
The global economic crisis provided evidence that China's export-driven economy is vulnerable to dips in demand in the rest of the world. The Eurozone crisis means that there's much less demand from China's biggest export markets. The desired move to an economy in which consumers play a larger role than the state and where it's services that exceed manufacturing will take time and courage.
It won't happen smoothly when people have privileged positions in economies, and certainly where they have benefited greatly from the distortions in policy. When you start righting those distortions, the process of adjustment is never very smooth. When will it happen? Well, in a concerted way, we're probably still some time off that, because I don't think the leadership have really understood how difficult this process is.
Latest figures show that China's inflation eased further in September, giving the government more room to stimulate the country's slowing economy.
Our responsibility is to rally and lead the whole party of the Chinese people, of all ethnic groups, in continuing to liberate our way of thinking, carry on reform and opening, further unleash and develop the productive forces, work hard to resolve the difficulties that people face in both work and life, and steadfastly take the road of prosperity for all.
It will probably take more than 5 years, until the new leadership's really settled and, reforms can be initiated.
Xi Jinping will be steering China for at least the next 5 years, with mixed team including Li Keqiang and North Korea-trained economist Zhang Dezhang. This could make undertaking the kind of reforms China so desperately needs, whether financial or social, much harder.